with our California run. The gentlelady from San Jose, Ms. Lofgren.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and thanks to each one of these witnesses for their excellent testimony. Mr. Gladstein, no one is going to defend that infringing site, including me. I mean, to me, the only question is, how do we prevent this piracy? None of us should be defending it, and I include myself very much in that category. It was just 12 years ago that we had a very tumultuous markup in this room. I think just Mr. Issa, Mr. Johnson and I were here, and at the time, technical experts, the Internet Society and ICANN and others strongly advised against DNS level filtering or blocking, and instead urged that content level decisions be made at the network edge and not at the Internet's infrastructure core. And I think that probably continues to this day. So the question is, what are the best remedies? And I think that's something I would love to focus on, Mr. Chairman. One of the things that I'm interested in is when we've done a number of laws to help on this, I'd like to know how they are being administered by those charged with enforcement. For example, the Copyright Claims Board has the ability to take action as part of the CASE Act, which I supported. I don't know how that's going. I would like to know that. Obviously, that's not the major studios. Federal prosecution under the Protecting Lawful Streaming Act of 2020. What's been done on that? Has the DOJ brought any cases? I would like to know about that. The National Intellectual Property Rights Coordination Center, led by Homeland Security, is supposed to help with the Protecting Lawful Streaming Act. They have a center there. How is that working? I would like to know that as well. One of the concerns, I think that we're missing the boat, frankly, and I thought so 12 years ago when we had this tumultuous markup. These piracy sites would not exist if they weren't lucrative. They're making money, and that's why they exist. There are problems in terms of the effectiveness of trying to block IP addresses. There are technical issues that the internet engineers brought to a head 12 years ago, but there's no technical problem in preventing the funding. I mean, if you can't, if the credit card companies are going to be told they cannot process the funds for a variety of sites, these sites will go away. Now, there is a problem internationally, but the Open Act that I supported would have made the copyright trademark infringements an unfair trade practice, and would have brought in the U.S. International Trade Commission as a partner in this. And I think even though sometimes we are not happy with their level of concern, and sometimes they go in the wrong direction, it is a hook, actually, in terms of going abroad with the financial services component of this. To me, the answer has always been cut off the money, and this will go away. So, you know, I'm interested, and Mr. Schreier, you're the only one here with, you know, speaking from technology, and I know that the chairman has said we're going to have other hearings on technology, but part of YouTube, for example, has gotten the digital file for various content so that they can take action when there's an infringement. One question I've had, and it's been problematic because you can make minor changes to that digital file and evade it. Have we explored, or is it even possible to do that kind of digital file on a broader basis? And would it work given the alteration that could be made? And then if anybody has a comment about cutting off the money, which I think is probably going to be the most lucrative, the most effective method we can, I'd be very interested.
Thank you for the question, Congresswoman. I think that's a great point. There is, among leading services and leading content providers, evolving strategies to share what we call hashes, which are sort of like digital fingerprints of a piece of content, and digital services will filter for that hash. And that's used both in the copyright context and outside of it. And it's a very effective way to intercept at the point of ingestion content that should not be in a particular place or should not be available for any number of reasons. Obviously, the technology is expensive. It has to be implemented in each service in a different fashion. But it is a very effective way to solve these problems at the front end, but it requires a lot of intersectoral cooperation.
Mr. Chairman, I see my time has expired, but I would invite the
I'd ask you
witnesses.
to ask the unanimous request that the gentlelady have one additional minute without objection, so ordered.
Thank you. I would just invite each of the witnesses to comment, even after this hearing, on the concept of denying access to financial rewards through the financial system, the credit card companies and the like, how we might work together to explore that. I know that, we've got just a few minutes here, and it's a deep subject. I would love to make this impossible to profit after.
May I make a quick comment?
Sure.
One of the issues with following the money that might not service this issue as well as you've just stated, quite frankly, is that many of these sites don't charge the customer anything to be able to watch that film. So what Netflix or Apple or anyone is competing with is the free dispersal of the product. The way in which those sites are making money is from advertising and from selling malware that they get from those that go onto their sites.
Right. So we'd have to go after the advertisers as well.
So the consumer isn't using their credit card. They're just hitting a button. And the technology is such that the programming that they're watching doesn't look like someone sat in the back of a theater with their iPhone and copied the movie. It is a digital copy of the film that looks exactly like the film I just made. I couldn't tell the difference between the version that's on F-Movies and the version that's on Netflix. So and also Bitcoin is used often now.
Right.
There's various other ways in which these folks doing this illegal activity is doing other illegal activity and benefiting from those that are going onto their sites. So merely the credit card is not a solution, I don't think.
Not all of it. Mr. Chairman, I appreciate your giving me an additional minute. I'll just close with this. I hope we don't get into another tumultuous, dysfunctional technical fight as we did 12 years ago, but I do think we have a lot of opportunity to look at enforcement, including DOJ, including potential financial cutting off, and I think the gentleman's testimony is enlightening, and we could spend a lot more time getting into this and maybe getting some real results. So I yield back, and
I thank the
you very much.
gentlelady. Those 12 years ago, the names SOPA and PIPA were bantered around, and we thought that that was going to be a solution without any debate. I can promise the gentlelady that we are going to invite all the parties. We are going to go through a process that at least makes sure that all facts and capabilities are known before any legislation goes forward. I have a history with several here on the dais of fighting against our own chair at the time and ranking member and against the Senate, and we won. But unfortunately, the content producers do not have a solution, and so I want to find justice at a fair rate, something that you and I fought against more than a decade ago, but we know we still need to protect the content producers, and so I look forward to working with it, and I promise an open and transparent process.
Very good.